The quality of a Call of Duty title is always going to come down to two things: the guns and the maps. And if the maps are bad, the entire game is going to feel shaky. The people with the strongest opinions on this are, of course, the pros. The ones who get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to abuse pixels on a screen to their maximum cheese potential. What the fuck are you doing? I'm snaking. Jesus fucking Christ. Today we're ranking the top 10 maps in Call of Duty's competitive history. Some of these you'll agree with, and some of these will piss you off. And I don't care how you feel either way. Before we get started, let's clear some things up. What actually makes a map great from a competitive standpoint? Well, first off, it's gotta be versatile. Playable on at least 2 of the 3 game modes: Hardpoint, S&D, and the third variety mode that's switched up a bunch throughout the year. That, or it has to be one of the best maps to play on a singular mode in the history of the game mode. Second, structure. Usually a 3-lane design with some verticality, with enough route variety to not be a predictable choke point. And most importantly, it has to have flow. A map can look pretty, but if every match plays out as a bloodbath in mid, it's not a good map. Competitive maps reward strategy and gunning, not who head glitches the hardest. With all that said, let's get into this. Number 10, Crossfire COD 4. The OG competitive map. Competitive play on Crossfire was ruthless. Grenade spots, wall banks, head glitches, and if you didn't know them, it was already too late. The map was either heaven or hell depending on what side of the street you spawned on. Crossfire taught us 2 very important lessons. 1, positioning is everything. And 2, if you don't have it, you better find out how to get it. Is it perfectly balanced by today's standards? Hell no. But it did define the early days of competitive Call of Duty, and that's why it kicks off our list. Number 9, Strike Zone. Ghosts. Jesus fucking Christ, a ghost entry 2 minutes into the video? This guy just lost every ounce of credibility he had going. Relax. Shut the fuck up and let me explain for 2 seconds. I agree with you, Ghost was dog shit. The maps were built like abandoned malls, and the pacing was slower than your Tinder matches were playing. Actually wait, it's not that slow. Now, Strike Zone. Strike Zone was the one time that Ghost remembered that it was supposed to be Call of Duty. It was close quarters, chaotic, sweaty gunfights. This map carried the entire competitive scene. So yeah, Ghost was a pretty trash Call of Duty. But Strike Zone is one of the only reasons that people can still talk about Ghost without gagging afterwards. Mad about it being on the list? Too bad. You're just mad that I reminded you that you had to play Ghosts. Number 8, Fringe. Black Ops 3. Now when people think about competitive Black Ops 3, Fringe is always in the conversation. A proper 3-lane layout, predictable but clean spawns, and a mid-control that decided the entire match. Of course, that means that every wannabe map critic has been dick writing this thing for the last decade like it's some sort of holy scripture. Relax, it's a pretty well-designed map, but it's not the second coming. Well, I guess technically with it coming back in Black Ops 6, it is its second coming. Whatever, I'm getting off topic. Competitive on Fringe was sweaty as hell. Mid-control was everything, and if you lost grandma spawns, you're gonna spend the next 5 minutes getting farmed like cattle. It wasn't flashy, but it was reliable. In a Black Ops 3, where half the maps played like skate parks, Fringe stood tall as the one that actually felt like Call of Duty. Number 7, Detroit. Advanced Warfare. Now, Advanced Warfare is a pretty split community. Half the people love the XO, and half the people are still bitchy about it a decade later. But Detroit was a pretty solid middle ground for both parties. Tight lanes, brutal hardpoint hills, and S&D matches that went from tactical to chaotic in 3 seconds flat. This is the map that made Advanced Warfare competitive watchable. But it did turn every pub lobby into a circus. I mean, every kid was jumping around like cracked out kangaroos, screaming, "Trade me," while dropping a .8 KD. Don't get me wrong, Detroit didn't fix Advanced Warfare, but it did carry a good amount of the competitive scene on its back. If you remember competitive COD in 2014, you remember Detroit. Even if it was just for being the place that you got farmed while pretending you were part of Optic. Number 6, Yemen. Black Ops 2. For half of you biting your nails right now, bitching about Yemen, really? I've got one thing to say to you. This map makes the list because of Scump. Period. Yemen was his playground, his highlight reel, his personal farm. If you watch Black Ops 2 competitive, you watch the king turn this map into his own backyard. And that's why it's unforgettable. Competitive on Yemen was chaos done right. With tight lanes, brutal choke points, and constant flips, every second felt like a fist fight. In the hands of the pros, it became iconic. It's not about balanced charts or nostalgia goggles. Yemen earned its spot because the king made it legendary. End of story. Number 5, Checkmate. Cold War. Yeah, Cold War. I can already hear the whining. Half of you have never watched a CDL match, but you'll swear that this map doesn't belong here. Shut up. Checkmate ran competitive Cold War, whether you liked it or not. Play control decided everything. If you had it, you dictated the match. If you didn't, you were putting clips into the wall trying to find wherever the guy was hiding in the plane. Now in pubs, Checkmate was miserable. Spawn, die, and repeat until you rage quit. But in comp, it was brutal, structured, and every push mattered. You don't have to like it. You don't even have to respect it. But if you care about competitive Call of Duty's history, Checkmate's spot on this list is non-negotiable. Number 4, Ardennes, MW3. Modern Warfare 3 didn't leave us with many competitive classics, but Ardennes was the exception. Mid-control was pure pandemonium. And the second floor was a death trap where matches were decided in seconds. Search and destroy on Ardennes was nasty. Fast plants, tight trades, and wallbangs coming from every angle. You weren't ready, you were getting shredded before you even knew where the shots were coming from. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't pretty, but enforced non-stop action. Ardennes proved that even in one of COD's messiest comp titles, you could still get a map that played like it was built for competitive. Number 3, Standoff. Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 had a heartbeat, it was Standoff. Every mode played perfectly here. Hardpoint, S&D, capture the flag, it didn't matter. Standoff delivered every single time. The middle of the map was a constant bloodbath. You either locked down control or spent the entire round getting recycled in spawn. And Search? Some of the dirtiest clutches in Call of Duty comp history came from Standoff. One back peek and the whole round was cooked. This map had everything. Long lanes for ARs, close gunfights for SMGs, tower positions worth shedding blood over. It was simple, but it was surgical, and that's why it became the backbone of Black Ops 2 competitive. Standoff wasn't just another great Treyarch design. It was the definition of balance in competitive COD. And every time this map came up in the rotation, you knew that this match was about to be a classic. Number 2, Ardennes Forest. World War II. If there was ever a map in Call of Duty history that kept an entire CDL season from dying out, it would be Ardennes Forest. Yeah, World War II had some pretty solid supporting characters from London Docks and Gibraltar. Now the main character of that year that defined this season was most definitely Ardennes Forest. Hardpoint here was legendary. Every hill was contested, rotations decided series, and breaking a setup took real teamwork. You really couldn't cheese your way through the forest. It was all about the basic fundamentals. Search and control carried that same energy, with constant pressure. This map never let up. Now, Ardennes Forest wasn't just good, it was essential. Without it, World War II's competitive year would have been dead on arrival. Now, before we hit number 1, let's give some honorable mentions to maps that made an impact on the scene but didn't quite crack the top 10. Moscow, Cold War. Moscow was Cold War's second backbone in the CDL. AR duels down long range, brutal S&D rounds, setups that punished every mistake. For a whole season, this map duoed with Checkmate to be the entire CDL scene. Just not quite enough to hang with the all-time greats. Seaside, Black Ops 4. Seaside was pure chaos and comp players loved it. But it lived in Black Ops 4, which means 90% of you barely even remember it existed. Phenomenal map. Wrong game. Summit, Black Ops 1. Now Summit's a fan favorite. Snow, towers, mid-fights that ruin friendships. But let's be real, nostalgia does the heavy lifting here. It's a great map, but it doesn't touch the true heavyweights of this list. Number 1, Raid, Black Ops 2. Surprise! Probably not. Raid wasn't just another map. It was the competitive blueprint. Every mode hit. Hardpoint at ring, search and destroy at basketball courts, Capture the flag through the pool, every setup and every rotation felt like it mattered. The design was flawless. I mean, there was long for ARs, there was short in buildings for SMGs, power spots that could flip an entire round without breaking the map entirely. It was balanced and brutal and forced a lot of players to play basically perfect Call of Duty. Raid defined the golden era of COD. When people talk about peak esports moments, this is the map that they're picturing. That's why it's not just number one. It is the standard. Everything else gets measured against. And that's a list. Top 10 competitive maps in Call of Duty history. Argue with it, cry about it, type your paragraphs in the comments. I don't care. What matters is these maps build the competitive legacy that we still talk about today. Do you love them or hate them? They shaped the game. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more top 10s, updates, and breakdowns coming soon. You won't want to miss what we have planned next.